All right, and we're back live again. Hello, Maddie. How are you? Yes, you did just miss Ben's, but that's okay. Um, all right. I think we have Metatropic and Rich. I think are next up, and I'm not sure in what order. I think Rich is third. I'm just gonna do his next because I have his course thread up. So, and then we'll do Metatropics. All right. Yeah, I've been efficient so far. I think that was the longest playthrough so far at about 24 minutes. I mean, the first ones. Why am I going for? The first ones have been good in that. All right, no condition settings yet, which is fine. So we'll just do default. We'll do pin one back tees, 7,300. So it's a short one for a major so far. And we'll do again, I don't know if there's a wind direction that is preferred. I'm just gonna go medium for now, just so that I can't screw myself over too much if there's a wind that's very bad for this course. On the major thread when we publish, you don't have to, but it helps. Also, I need to put a post in at some point that I think we will take 4 rounds of kind of advised conditions when you can. Thanks, Maddie. I've just been a little kind of out of the loop lately. Just work's been a lot, and I have not had a lot of time or energy to do contest stuff, so I've been a little absent lately, which is on me. Um, so I'll we can update that in a bit. I'll try to get caught up this weekend, and again get caught up on playthroughs and stuff. So first off, I mean, very obvious inspiration. We're going for a sawgrass thing. The Ponte Vedra is kind of a dead giveaway. Um, let's see. I think the scaling here is going to be a little bit of an issue. The bunkers are kind of enormous. Um, like the sculpting is decent so far. Um, I think like a little on the sparse side planting wise, but I think this is okay so far. Yeah, there's a couple spots where it's very sparse in terms of filler kind of planting. But generally good visuals off the tee. Um, I'm not sure what this bunker is doing here, but that's okay. So there we go. Um, Again, retaining wall stuff looks pretty solid. Yeah, I'm not like again. It's like I'm not. I guess this bunker is kind of in play if you miss like here, but I think like this green is a little removed from all of these bunkers for them to really come into play at all. Oh, wow, that's about as bad of a shot as anyone can hit, and I didn't sniff hitting any of them. Like a plat player's never hitting a shot that bad. So I imagine if this went on plat, you can have 4 rounds, and no one in the field would put a shot in either of those bunkers. Hey, we make a putt. This one's kind of a funky hole design. I think my complaint about this one would be like obviously it's pinched, which again for a major contest is fine, but if you can hit it far enough, and most of the plat players are playing the longer clubs, then you go from having a 15-yard wide landing area to a um, you know 70-yard wide landing area. And I imagine every plat player on Earth is just hitting it to the 70-yard wide spot. It really only punishes CC players. Hi, Saucy. And like they're not really playing this course. I don't mind this green so far. This one feels reasonable. Again, maybe it's just coming off of the ridiculous greens on Ben's course, kind of skewing my perception of reality and whatnot. But like so far, 2 greens in, like this green feels very tame for the contest so far. Although this pin's on a slopey spot, which I don't know if is a good or bad thing. Like it's very much pushing. Like I feel like if it's a tame green and then the pin's just randomly in a spot of yellow, I don't think that's necessarily a great thing. But like that I didn't have too much of an issue with that pin. Yeah, I think the scaling really gets away from you on this one as well. Like the apron is enormous. You know, it's starting 100 yards off the tee. This bunker, or this little bit of the bunker is in play, maybe, and then you have 3 acres of sand that isn't. Not that I like. Again, I don't mind framing bunkers and stuff, but also I guess it does do some framing. You can see some of it. But again, it still feels a little excessive and, again, just a touch and maybe not necessary. The scale definitely doesn't help it, I think. It's just a little big. Like when it's like probably double or triple the size of the green, I think. But yeah, like again, the green feels reasonable. I almost think you don't need a bowl in the back for like a major course. Like you can just let people run it up. Which course is this? This is Ponte Vedra National. I wonder if it has like the moat for the global home. If Dan's still in the audience. That's a reference basically just for him and nobody else. Let's see. There we go. This one is... It's not Metatropics. It's Rich's course. Yeah, I think like visually it's not like barren, but it's maybe a little sparse visually. So we have all the crowds behind fences, which I think is okay. It's, of course, I don't know. This one feels funky, but like it doesn't need to turn around. But I don't know. That's a nitpicky thing. Just kind of a preference. I don't necessarily think it needs fences. Let's see, anything. I guess it is heavy rough, so there is some penalty for hitting it there, but it feels like this is a very wide corridor without a whole lot of punishment in it that you can just kind of mindlessly blast a driver down and, like, no player on earth is going to struggle with that tee shot. Not that every tee shot needs to be challenging, but, like, I don't think there's been any tee shots I've found particularly tough on this course so far. Sit. Yeah, and it's kind of one of those where it's tough to do this, but you tried to do the whole slopes into the water thing, where, like, again, like, for a plat course that feels entirely appropriate, of, like, if you miss on the edge, it'll roll in, but it doesn't. So, like, it feels like a little bit of playtesting might, I see what you're going for there, but it doesn't really succeed in what you're going for. Which to me feels like more playtesting was necessary. Of either like try a different idea or tweak it till it works. And considering you published like early October and you're gonna have like a month and a half to play with, I can't help but feel that like maybe you should have used more of that time to tweak some stuff here. Like it's a serviceable course. There's nothing bad about it, but like, I can't help but look at this and think that, like, when you publish that early, it kind of implies like I've looked at this, I've looked at everything, I've tested everything, and I'm done. Like this is as much as I'm gonna accomplish, and this bunker's a little bit of an odd decision. It's not bad. I mean, it's functional. I kind of like the idea of, again, it's the if you miss long, it rolls into a hazard. I just think the execution is a little interesting, awkward maybe. Um, but again, the same kind of principle of like a sandbelt course, just very different visually and hidden from the player. Yeah, making plat courses is hard, and I mean honestly, kind of reviewing them has been kind of hard because you can talk about things that are, hey, at least this one works as intended, so props. Um, we just had to explore that one. Uh, like evaluating them is I found very tough so far because kind of the point of them is to be silly. So when you try to apply like I get with Ben's one of like it I feel like he almost certainly achieved his goal on it. Yeah, this is starting to feel very sparse visually. Like there's nothing over here. And again, and it's kind of the you had a month and a half to play with. There's stuff you could do with it unless you ran out of plant meter, which is possible, but I don't think highly likely because there's just not a lot here. It's efficiently done. I don't know what this bunker is needed for. It's very pointy. This is very pointy. Also, if I laid up here, I guess it's a par 5. That's fine. I don't know, but it just feels weird that if I lay up here, what are my options? Like, you can't, like, you basically have to hit like a, like you're hitting like a wedge to here, and then you have 205 in, which doesn't feel like a very, like, again, it's one of those where unless the wind is howling in your face, there's no reason to ever lay up. Like you make the hole impossible if you lay up. Like laying up makes sense of like, hey, I'm giving up going forward in 2 for an easy play, and that is just like the laying up makes the hole infinitely harder than like just going for it, and there's no reason to. The bunker it's sitting below water level. I didn't catch that either, which is again awkward. Again, so far this course feels entirely serviceable. There's nothing egregiously wrong with it, but like it doesn't I don't know if it feels necessarily polished either. Like in a lot of ways this feels like a bit of a first draft, and like you have a month and a half to polish. This is kind of funky. I mean, the stadium hole, not an issue. um but like you just kind of stacked them on top of each other, and you have all the back ones floating, which again, if it's hidden, like it's not really an issue, but I can see the sides of it off the tee. Like I want to say, okay, so you took the time to do these ones and build like a little bit of a side for these. So you could have added a little bit of a front to that side, and then this side, and then like you don't have to do it all the way around. Like golf courses in this game are kind of a sound stage. Like like you don't have to build an environment. You just have to build the illusion of an environment from one side. Hey, nice. That sounds fun. A London trip. Let's see. I'm getting a little bit of frame rate stuttering because there's so many stands here. But again, it's the, like, you don't have to build all of an environment, but I shouldn't be able to see behind the illusion from the tee box. Like, that's something that you should build your set for. That was just a bad putt. It may be nitpicky, but the enormous stadium for what is otherwise, like, I think kind of a little bit of a, it's a fine golf hole, but it's not an exciting golf hole. It's Like it's not the island par three type thing. It's got a little water, but it's just kind of a wedge hole. It's a fairly easy par. Hell, this to me feels like a better spot for a stadium than that one. And again, it gets a little empty. Because this shot's way more interesting. Like I'd love, crowds I think would love to sit there and watch people try to rip driver at this little guy. Oh, and we miss. That's all right. All right, and we'll just drop there. We'll throw a wedge up there. Like I said, this is the most interesting hole on the course so far. Like, maybe it's a little easy for a drivable four for Platt, but there is at least there's some hazard there to, But also, I still haven't made a bogey yet. I haven't played particularly well, and I'm 2 under without really sniffing a bogey. So, like, maybe not quite to the Platt level. I don't mind this hole so far. I think this, like, construction-wise, this is one of the better ones. Oh, that's a bad shot. That's not going to hold the fairway. Yeah, I'm going to have to take, like, that's going to take a couple playthroughs to really suss out whether, like, I feel like that fairway is a little harshly sloped or not. Like, again, it's a Platt course. Like, obviously, like, maybe you ask the player to hit, like, as a lefty a cut or as a righty a draw, but if there's, like, no real reasonable way to hit that fairway regularly, or it's just, like, anything that hits it. Because I landed on the left side and it bounded all the way off. It wasn't a great shot. Like, I don't mind that one being punished, but I'd be curious to see, like, if hitting that is doable at all. Link's Golf sounds like a fun trip. You'll have to let us know. Send some pictures and stuff. That sounds fun. Again, this is a massive amount of fairway that no one's ever gonna use. So again, it's to me, there's a lot of holes where on a course that's supposed to be set up for Platt, where having the 305 driver, which, well, actually, I don't even have the full length driver. Like, I'm giving up some length. So, like, for Platt players, like, risk reward tee shots, I shouldn't be able to make them. Because I'm only playing, like, 295 or something instead of the full 305. And I'm comfortably blowing it over every cross hazard and stuff like that. So, like, really, like, so far, I don't feel like there's been any hazards that have been appropriately placed for a Platt course yet. Like, for CC or Kinetic, I think that hazard placement is fine. Or, you let, like Platt players blow it over, or like long players blow it over, because, like, if you're a CC player and you're playing 305, you're probably a little wild. Alright, I mean, this one's fine. It doesn't, like, I don't really have any issues with it, but nothing about it really stands out either. It's kind of like, this is a solid golf hole. Again, maybe not quite Platt appropriate, but... Yes, that's a good point, Charlie. If, this is... Yeah, it's based on a Pete Dye course, and Sawgrass at that. A very narrow, very penal golf course. And this course doesn't really feel penal at all. Like, it feels like it tries in spots. I just don't think it quite succeeds in doing that. Because I'm not playing significantly better than I was when I was playing Ben's course. And I haven't really had to think too much about my shots on this one. Whereas I was just getting constantly punished on Ben's. Like, I ripped an iron out of the sand and I hit it way too close to the water, and it didn't really punish me there. And I'm gonna have a little birdie putt. I don't know if I like the walkway fence thing, where you have you. Oh, that's right, and this shares with a different hole. I don't know if we were gonna play that one later or if we've played that already. I can't remember. I don't think we have. Um, yeah, and that too. Like, it's also a plat course, so like if you're doing Pete Dye, like championship Pete Dye course, that's a great excuse to just really put the screws to the player, and this course just kind of doesn't. This one looks funky, or this bunker looks just a little funky to me, being like at water level. And hell, this whole fairway is right at water level. I feel like you would need a little more bank there. Again, there's nothing technically wrong with it. Just visually, it looks off when you have like surfaces flush with water. Like, you want a little bit of a bank, not necessarily as severe as by the green all the time, but like to me, you always want at least a couple feet of a bank, because that's what you need. But like, honestly, I would probably peg this course at being like a kinetic course, or honestly, even like with low winds, I could see this going on CC. It's it's pretty wide, and um, like there's for how much water there is out here, I don't feel like I haven't really had to think about my shots much. I'm just kind of bunting it around, and not really having to think or try too hard. Yes, I will be doing a playthrough for every contest course. I also feel like I think a theme I've seen so far is like there's lots of holes that present kind of the illusion of choice, but there's really just one shot to hit, and then you just hit it and you're done. Again, like I feel like maybe I'm probably coming off a little harsh on this one. Um, that's just a bad putt. But like again, I've loved pretty much all of the first three courses. Well, I guess I haven't loved Ben's course yet, but I think like I appreciate it. I found it frustrating, which is probably the correct. Oh, this is the other one on that side of that. All right, this one's fine. Again, it sits maybe a little flush with the water. Like, I feel like you tried to do the bank thing again, but then there's just rough around it everywhere. So at no point are you ever going to run the ball into the water. Um, but again, like at least the first two courses, I think Petty's was probably solidly in the plat range, and then I'm blanking on whose course I played second. I remembered really enjoying that course and thought it was just like maybe an elite course, and that was the only real problem I had with it. But the first three have been really solid all around, um, and then this is like a very competent golf course. But well, there's the first bogey, but also that's just oh, there's a double. That's just me doing sloppy putting things. Yep. Who made that one? I'm blanking. I'm sorry. It's been like almost 2 weeks since I did that playthrough, so there. Like, this is finally one where I'm like, this is about like, you know, the shot that I would expect on a course like this. But you're also pinching the wrong area. Like, you're not pinching plat players. You're giving the illusion of pinching it, and then you're giving plat players a 60-yard wide fairway. Squidward, that's who it was. Thank you. Yeah, I loved his course. It just probably wasn't hard enough. But this is the first one I've seen where it just kind of feels incomplete. And, like, it's not the first one I think that whiffs on difficulty, but, you know, it feels... Again, there's nothing, like, really off about this course. It just comes up a little short in a lot of areas. And there's plenty of, like, where it's not a problem with vision necessarily. It's a problem with execution. And there's so much time to fix it that it just, you know, it's just maybe a little frustrating. I think that's a cut. I think I'm just going to hit a cut. Well, this is the first tee shot that has felt difficult, but I don't know if I really, like... it feels a little funky. Like, there's not a... It's fine. I don't mind it. At least, like, it is something that is not automatic. So I will you know, credit where credit is due. Karina Dunes, yes, that was the one. And then I guess I'm gonna lay up. I might as well just lay up on this. But yeah, so again, there's nothing, like, it's the technical stuff is pretty competent. I'm not the biggest fan of some of the sculpting in spots. Nothing is bad about the sculpting, but it's also one where it just, you know, like, it feels maybe like rushed. Like, this is like a course I would expect of somebody who, like, was struggling with the deadline and just had to, like, I just got to get a complete course out before the deadline. But it was published a month, you know, like, as one of the first courses published. Okay, what are we doing here? This is an interesting decision. Well, this is also the first time we've done retaining wall around bunkers, and I don't know if there is a good reason to start now, because, like, again, this work is fine. Like, it looks fine. Again, I think it's odd to introduce that as a concept on the 18th hole. This side is funky looking. I'm not sure why it needs to squiggle really hard randomly. And, I mean, again, it's real tough to get that edge to work. It maybe doesn't look great to my eye. It's an interesting decision. Again, I maybe wouldn't introduce kind of a new concept on the 18th hole. And yet again, you can just kind of bar some kind of monster wind in your face. You just blow it straight over and you don't think about it. But yeah, again, it's like, it is a solid course, but I feel like it feels like a kinetic course in terms of difficulty, and in terms of execution, I feel like there's lots of spots that you could have put more time into polish, and you had the time and chose not to. Which, again, if you're just in it for fun, and, like, you're not worried about winning, or, like, you know, like, you're not in it to win, and you just kind of, like, you just want to go along for the ride and just build a course, then that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna throw shade at anyone for just kind of deciding that, like, I like designing, and I just want to do it for fun, and I'm not worried if I'm competitive in contests or not. But, so, yeah, like, if that's all your goal is, then, like, job well done. The course is solid. You know, there's stuff happening. If it was fun, then mission accomplished. But, you know, if you're trying to, like, improve, compete, that sort of stuff, I think, like, job number one is a little more attention to detail and just putting the time into polish. But anyway, thank you for the course, and thank you for tuning in to the playthrough. If you guys are in chat, we'll do one more. If you are watching on feedback or on playback, then we will catch you next time. Until then, have a good one.